yeah, but why is it like this? And da, 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 da. And I was like, oh, who are you talking to like that? Like, if I tell you 1 + 1 is 2, it's 2. Once you get a reputation, right, for being rude, you can't wipe it. Now, the adults' eyes is on you as a parent who are raised with this lack of critical thinking, grow into adults who also still have lack of critical thinking. So if you pay more, you'll get a better quality of staff. Not necessarily. I laugh to myself when I see fresh diaspora meat. We're not going to let people continue to take advantage. We're not going to let the Chinese come in and be using our people to do this and that. Robot. A, B, C. Finish. I'll give you 20 cities if you vote for this party. Hey guys, welcome back. Okay. Today's video, I want us to talk about something that is very, very touchy. Excuse me. But I feel like it's necessary that we bring it up and talk about it because it is a real thing, okay? Critical thinking. It is such a problem, and I know sometimes you hear about, you know, Ghanaians or sometimes Africans in general can lack critical thinking, but I don't think we realize how deep-rooted it is and how much it affects the progress of Ghana and where we are going. I know this is a very touchy subject for people because people feel like, oh, you can't say that Ghanaians are, you know, can't critical think and all of that. But let's really look at the facts about it, okay? Because it really does start from the education system. It really does. And because it's been left for so long, it goes all the way up to the top. Like, you'll be surprised the number of times that I have come across or found myself in situations where people haven't had the ability to think outside the box. It just amazes me. We take critical thinking for such granted. We don't realize that in the West, the way that we are raised to see and question things. You know, the other day I was watching this program on TV and it had this mother and daughter scene in it. And the daughter was like, yeah, but why is it like this? And da, 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 da. And I was like, oh, who are you talking to like that? Like, it kind of got me. So this, like, there's also a balance to it, right? So like the girl was like questioning certain things, like, why does it have to be like that? Why did it? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this is grown people's business. But at the same time, there is a balance that needs to be struck that everyone can feel comfortable with. So while I personally am not comfortable with, why are you asking like all these questions? I've told you what it is, right? To an extent. Or why, like, even after you've asked me the question and I give you an answer, you're still poking why. I'm like, listen, you need to stop now, right? Now we have the other side where they're told something and that's it. They just take it for what it is. They'll ask no questions. And you know, the thing about Ghana is that we see that as a sign of respect. It's like if you tell someone younger than you something and they just believe it and they just go with it, it's like, that's you're being respectful because me, I'm older than you. And so therefore what I've said is wisdom that you don't have yet. And so therefore you should believe what I'm saying. And that's a really bad, dangerous thing. Like I said, let's take it back to schools, right? A lot of the schools, I think the school system is changing a bit now, if I just touch on that. The school system is changing now where you'll find that students are encouraged to question things that they don't understand. They're encouraged to think about why things work the way, you know, that whole critical thinking that we really need as human beings. It's being taught in some schools, not all schools, but some schools. But other schools are still very much in the era of, well, you know, this is what it is. I've told you what it is. Don't question me. I'm the teacher. I know more than you. And that is it. And so the children are raised in school to memorize things rather than understand things. So it's like, if I tell you 1 + 1 is 2, it's 2. Don't question how 1 + 1 makes 2. Just know that it's 2. And that's all you need to know. And that's kind of how people are taught in that sense. I would say that there are some people that can come out of a system like that and still thrive, right? Because even though they are being respectful of the culture and won't pick at things, in their minds and outside of that system, they question and they want to know more. They crave the knowledge. Like, okay, teacher told me 1 + 1 equals 2. Okay, but how is it? And then they'll go and think about how okay, if I have this one item and this one item, oh, that's how it makes it. And they connect the dots for themselves. They have that ability. But let's not fool ourselves and think that all children have that ability to do that. Some children don't. Let me just hit this while I'm here, right? When it comes to education, education is one of those funny things that some people will thrive in an education in that classroom setting and other children will not. Ghana hasn't really adopted a culture where it's accepted that you can learn outside of the educational system. What do I mean by that? I mean like that some people are just natural creatives and that's how you should teach them, through creativity, right? It's still very much teacher, student, board, chalk type thing. And that, I feel like that's a huge missed opportunity for a lot of Ghanaians because they're not nurturing their natural talents until much later on, where they, that's not the right word to use, Dela. I was gonna say where they have a backbone. That's not the right word to use. But where they have the confidence to be like, okay, well, this is what I've been taught in school. Now I want to put my own spin on things. I want to do things my way. It's very, very hard as a Ghanaian to break certain molds that have been put there because we fear the whole thing of the judgment. Now you're seen as a rude child. Once you get, let me just say this. Once you get a reputation, right, for being rude, you can't wipe it. You can't wipe it. No matter how many good deeds you do, you will always be known for being this bad, rebellious child until perhaps maybe you're adult, and then the now the older people are like, okay. Then they kind of ease up with you because they kind of give you some status as an adult. But other than that, once you're someone who questions things and all of that stuff, it's with you forever. It really is. So it's almost like if you come from a household where your parents allow you to have some level of being able to speak up about certain things that you don't understand, or to question why, without them taking it as you're being rude, then you will thrive. Like, Ghana's great for that. Like, you will completely thrive because you're going to be so far ahead of so many other people that don't have the ability to critical think. I gave you the example the other day, right, when I said, you order a burger and you say, I don't want the onions, and then they're like, but that's how it comes. They don't know how to take the onions out. So you're just like, bring the burger to me, I'll take the onions out myself type thing. That is like, that sounds funny, but it's the actual truth. It happens time and time again with things like that, where people just lack the ability to think outside of what they've been told. But if you can raise children where they have the social awareness to know when to question things and when not to, because even you who is the parent, right, when you have children who are naturally curious and you go to certain settings, say like family event or wherever, and then something happens, the child is asking, but why? Now the adult's eyes is on you as a parent, like, you're going to allow your child to be going back and forth with you, like, do they not have home training? And so if you have a child who can be aware of situations like that, where they know that, okay, you know what, this one I don't understand, but let me ask later, and then you give the space to the parent to be able to address the questions that the child has. That's wonderful. But I'm telling you, like, I don't know how to really put across to you what it's like growing up in a Ghanaian household where there are certain rules that are just unwritten that you just live by, and sometimes you don't even realize that those are the rules until you become an adult and you're like, hey, it's like that. And then even as you grow, and I'm going right, like, even as you grow, you find it hard to even break out of those things because they've been so instilled in you that it's like, it's very, very difficult. One of the things my dad used to say about me is that, this girl is always asking why. I tell her stuff and she's asking why. But I was fortunate that my dad was liberal enough to be able to allow me to have the space to ask why and be, have that thought process of trying to understand certain things. Like, he had the patience to do it. But can you imagine being a child who asks his why and being, having parents that you're not allowed to ask why? That is going to be so stifling, and that just puts you so much further back as you start to grow, and you want to follow some type of a career, you want to advance your career, you want to advance yourself. Now you're stuck with this thing on your back almost, where you're like, you're scared to like ask questions and say anything that goes against, challenge the teacher when you're learning things, right? That's part of the learning process, right? To be able to, like, the teacher says something, you're like, oh, but what about this? And have that whole debate system, right? In the West, we are allowed to debate. We are allowed to debate. Teacher says something you don't understand. Okay, what don't you understand? Like, we break it down until you understand it. And if you don't, okay, after class, come see me. We'll talk it through. And, you know, until you understand it, we'll keep going and going and going until you get understanding. My friend, come and try that in Ghana. It's not going to happen for you. It is really not. And so what we're seeing is we're seeing children who are grown, who are raised with this lack of critical thinking, grow into adults who also still have lack of critical thinking. So even when they want to question certain things, they don't have the confidence to be able to do it. And so it just grows with adulthood. And it comes across to those of us that are coming from the West that have been, you know, we're not even told that we are learning critical thinking, because, I mean, as far as I'm aware, I've never heard of critical thinking classes. I don't know how you would even start to teach critical thinking. It's just something that happens as you grow. But, you know, those of us coming from the West and we're coming into Ghana and we're trying to work with people who have lack of critical thinking, it's like, how do you then start to teach these people critical thinking? Because every time they are scared to question anything that you've said, even though you maybe that person may be helping you out, because they feel like it's rude, it's not their place to say it, you know, so they allow things to you know, sometimes go wrong. And it's like, but why didn't you, if you saw that, why didn't you say something? That's how we see it. Like, if you see something that, like, it's all about to hit the fan, right? And you, as a Ghanaian person, can see that this person's going to scam you, or this, like, we would expect the person to speak up and say, you know, madam, like, I don't think you should do this, or, you know, like, they won't say it. They'll let it all hit the fan first. And then when you're sitting down there, you're scratching your head, like, how did this happen? Then they'll be like, and then if they are given a forum to say what they think, or how did we get here, then they'll say, yeah, I thought about it, you know, at the time, but, you know, I didn't want to say. And you're like, what the hell? You mean you could have saved me from this torture right now? And so it's like, how do you begin to work with people who have been raised in a society where critical thinking is seen as being rude? We from the West are coming in and we're like, okay, how can we make this better? You know, when you go to work for someone and you're like, okay, I've seen this, I have this idea, how we can make business better, how we can stop losing money, how we can make the process smoother. Like, that's what we are used to, right? When you hire someone, you're expecting those as part of their skills. You're not expecting someone to come and be a robot and just be like, okay, this is it, you know, put a burger in the bread, squeeze the ketchup, put the bread on top, and that's it, give it to the customer. Like, we're not expecting those kind of workers. And so it's so difficult. It really is so difficult, because it's almost like, sometimes people from the diaspora think that, well, if you pay more, you'll get a better quality of staff. Not necessarily. That it doesn't work like that. And I think one thing I really want the diaspora to understand is that just because you throw some extra money at something doesn't mean you get a better quality. That's not how it works. And I have tried to tell people this in the past, right? I'm going to go back to, like, house help, right? I've tried to tell people in the past when they say, oh, but, you know, it's because you don't pay your house help enough. That's why, you know, they don't do things in the way that you want. That's why they will steal, and that's why they'll do that. No. If someone comes to your house and steals, or if someone comes and just doesn't do a good job or does some backward stuff, right, it's because that's where they are. That's their character. That's how they think that what should be done. That's how they see it. A lot of them are in survival mode, so they're going to steal. Even if you pay them a really great salary, they're like, I don't know if tomorrow if I'm going to be sacked, or what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know if you people are going to get up and then go back to the West. So I'm going to take what I can for now, and they squirrel away certain things, and certain things happen. They don't necessarily think of the bigger picture. And that's the same when it comes to the workplace. They don't think of the bigger picture. They just think about the here and the now and what they can get for now and all of that. And it causes huge problems. And, you know, so sometimes I laugh to myself when I see fresh diaspora meat, you know, coming to Ghana, and they're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to save Ghana. I'm going to come. I'm going to pay fair wages. I'm going to pay exactly what they would pay in the West. I'm going to pay it to my fellow Ghanaian people. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Me, I just sit down. I've even got to the point where I actually stopped talking. I'm just like, you know, there's some things where you have to let people experience it for themselves so that they can see what it is like. Because when you yourself talk, right, you're seen as the bad guy, you're seen as the person that doesn't want Ghana to develop. Just go and look at some of my video, the comments on some of my videos, the things that people say in it. I'm just like, I don't even have time. I just bypass them, because people don't have the foresight to see that you're trying to help them. They just automatically see things as being negative. It's always being negative. You know, even the video that I did about talking about food, and people are like, that's how we cook our food, that's this, that's that, then if you don't like it, go back to the West, and they completely miss the picture because they lack critical thinking. They lack the ability to be able to say, okay, well, why is she talking about this? Maybe it's not that she hates Ghana, especially if she's been in Ghana for over 10 years and she's still here, and you know, all of that good stuff. No, they just see it the way that they have this small perspective of life, and that's why they can't think about a bigger picture. They just lack the ability to be able to see things in a different way, and so they always feel like something is an attack. Something is not always an attack. Something is there to help you get better and to improve yourself, and so we can catch up with the rest of the world, because Ghana is really lacking. I'm going to lie to you, Ghana is really lacking. And it's like, if it continues to lack, we get taken advantage of. As much as we want to say, oh, we're not going to let people continue to take advantage of, we're not going to let the Chinese come in and be using our people to do this and that. But you go and try and rescue one of those people. I'm going to say this as it is, I'm sorry, like, you go try and take one of those workers that work inside China Mall, right? Because you think, oh, the Chinese people are being so mean to them, they're not giving them a fair chance. You go take that person and bring them to your house to work and see the headache that you're going to get. Now, I'm not saying, please, because for those of you that are watching this that don't have critical thinking, I said it, right? Right? I am not saying that when Ghanaians are treated badly, it's because they deserve it, or I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that sometimes it is difficult to work with people that lack such understanding and try to grow a business with them. So it's like, literally all you can do for them is teach them like a robot. A, B, C, finish. Your job is done. And then the next customer, A, B, C, finish. That's how you have to meet them. Now, unless you have the patience to be like, well, you know what, I'm going to dedicate my life to train this person, and we're going to go all the way back, and we're going to teach them the reasons why, I don't know, you give people receipts, and the reasons why you have to double check the order that the customer has placed in the restaurant, why you have to read the order back. Like, unless I'm going to dedicate my time to things like that, which most serious business owners don't have the time for that. And so it makes it hard. How do you work with people that lack so much of the ability to be able to forward think that your business can still prosper? Yes, we all want to save Ghana, we all want good things to happen to Ghana, but we can't do it at the detriment of our businesses, at the detriment of other things. It's very difficult. So really, it's like, we have to look at the whole system. We have to change so many things about Ghana. So like I said, from school, we start from there. We make sure that the curriculum that's been told to our children is one where they have the ability to question things, ask questions. It's not being rude. We can teach them about the borderline so they don't become like children of the West, because some of these children of the West, they're damn rude, and then, yeah, they're just rude. And we don't want our children to become like that. We still want our children to be raised with certain moral standards, certain times where they know their place. We want that. We want to keep that. But we also want them to be able to think outside the box and critically think and ask questions in the right way, in the respectful way. We want to bring all that in. But when you have people like that and they're raised, now you're talking about using these same people, right? And you're asking them to vote. What do you think is happening when it comes to voting? Do you think these people are thinking critically about who they're going to vote into power? No, they're not. They're voting for people who said, I'm going to give you 20 cedis if you vote for me. And I'm not saying that that's what happens in Ghana or me, I don't know. I'm just using that as a throwaway example. You know, people that be like, I'll give you 20 cedis if you vote for this party. We will make, I don't know, something free for you people in this village. We'll give everybody chocolates. Everybody will get one Coke. You know, we'll throw a party for you people if you will vote for us. We'll do this. And that's how people are going into power in some places. I don't know about Ghana, but in some places, that's what's happening. So these people are not thinking about, okay, well, let me vote for this person. Let me see what this person's offering. And even if this person has been in power, this party has been in power before, did they do what they said they were going to do in the past? Like, did they live up to their promises? You know, with certain things established that they said they were going to do it. They won't think about that. They'll just think about what is in front of them at that precise time, and that's who they're going to vote for. Or they have this whole thing where, me, I always vote MPP. So then my whole lineage is going to vote MPP, and they won't ever break that mold because they can't think. They can't think. They lack the ability to think that, hold on, MPP is not even what it used to stand for back in the days, because we've had such a turnover of people that the core of what NPP stand for, or NDC, or whoever it is stood for, is no longer there. It's a different party. But because of you have opened your mouth and said MPP. Now for the rest of your life, you don't care if they take you to the shits. You're going with them to the shits because it's MPP, and you said you will support MPP for life. You will never change it. And that's how you now raise your children to be in the same way. Now, these are people that we're growing up with. These are now people who are becoming in positions of power because we are dealing with things like nepotism, where people are given positions that they don't even know what they're doing. You sit in an office, you don't even know what you're even doing in your office. You sit down, you open your laptop, and you just look at the screen. You're looking at porno, or you're looking at what... Oh my gosh, I woke up on the right side of the bed this morning. Lord have mercy. Okay, so let me just go back a bit. But I think you can understand the essence of what I'm saying, right? When it comes to schools, children are rewarded for being able to memorize, rather than understanding what it is that they're being taught. And that is such a shame. Like, we have so much work to do in Ghana. I don't know if we really realize how much work we have to do. And my fear really for Ghana is that the more people that come back, the more we're able to be tricked all over again. If we take it back to where we were colonized, some Ghanaians are still in that colonized state where they can't think past it. They still believe that colonization was good for Ghana. The white people came and gave us great things. The white people came and showed us how to bath because we were dirty. Anyway, I don't want to go off topic, but you see what I'm saying? Like, a lot of problems that we have in Ghana would be solved if people were able to think properly and do things with understanding rather than just because of what they've been told. We have a long way to go. You know, in a previous video, you know, I spoke about the whole religion thing, and it aligns with that so well. The whole thing of where this is what you are told, this is what you do. Don't question it, because if you question it, you're rebellious, you're being disrespectful. This is the word of God. It's written here in the Bible, blah, blah, blah. And I'll say it one more time for you. I am not against religion. I am not against Christianity. I'm not against the Bible. I promise you, I am not. What I am against is people not being able to think for themselves and just being fed stuff that actually doesn't even make sense. The Bible that they even teach you is not even the Bible that is even the Bible that they're holding in their hand. They're just teaching you from their own traumas or from what they want, however they want to use it to manipulate and control you. But anyway, if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. I laid it all out there for you. So what are some of the consequences of a lack of critical thinking? One of the consequences is that we can have weak leadership because we have people appointed into positions that don't need to be there because they actually don't have the mindset or the forward thinking enough to actually carry the country. They're just in a position, and that is it. Innovation just is almost non-existent because we're not raising people to be able to critically think and think about how we can put certain things into place. Just look at the infrastructure of Ghana that we have. If we allow people to be able to use their brains to think and question why certain things and put things into place, give them the space to put things into place, we'll be so far ahead, so much further ahead than where we are. But we're not allowed to critical think. We just don't have the ability to do it. You know, when we don't think critically, another thing that happens is that the systems that we have remain. Nothing ever changes. It's just stuck and everybody just accepts it. Well, that's how it is. That's how it is. That's how it is. You know, I remember some time ago someone said to me that, you know, in Ghana they don't put anything on computer. It's all on paper. So every 10 years somewhere burns down and all the records are wiped so that we can start afresh when we need to start afresh. I don't know how true that is, but you know, yeah, that's all I'll say about that. And then again, how do we compete with the West? How do we really get a position for ourselves and compete with people who are forward thinking, who are innovators, who are critically thinking, problem solving, all of that? That's how they're being raised. They're being raised as weapons almost. And we are sitting here, you say what? 1 + 1 is 2, okay? And we're still sitting there. Like, come on. Now, I'm not trying to say, I don't want you to hear me wrong here. I'm not saying that Ghanaians are dumb. I'm not saying that. They're not dumb. They're not dumb. They are very, very smart Ghanaians. And in fact, I can even say that there are some Ghanaians have gone through the school system and are smart. And when some of them, when they've gone to school in Ghana and they go to the West, they even have to be put forward classes because of their knowledge is so far ahead. The Ghana system in some places is the level of education is so far ahead of the West. So I don't want you to listen to this video and think that everything I'm saying is 100% absolute, because obviously there are always exceptions to everything. And I'm not sitting here trying to cover all the exceptions. I'm just telling you what the majority of what it is, because it is the majority. The majority of people cannot critically think. And that is the problem that we have in Ghana. And so I'm just bringing it to your attention that this is what it is. And what do we do? How do we change that? We start from the schools. That's where it's got to start from. It's going to be hard to change someone who is already at a certain level and getting them to now critically think. It doesn't work like that. You have to get them from young. So we need to think about our youth, the very, very young people. When they're going to schools, are they being taught the right things? Are they being given the space to think about things and critically think? You know, are they having that space to do that? If we're not giving them that, then we'll continue in this cycle of endless, we're not going anywhere, we're just going in a circle. Meanwhile, everybody else is going pew 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 past us and we're still sitting here. We're waiting. It's almost like we're waiting to be taken advantage of, and that's not what we want. So we need to do something about that. But anyway, I'm going to wrap up the video there. I would love to hear what you think about what I've said. Again, I'll say it for the people in the back that just refuse to listen. I'm not dissing Ghana. I'm bringing real issues to the forefront so that we can be better. And so we can find solutions for some of these. And hopefully, as I speak, someone out there will hear what I'm saying and be like, look, we need to create better school systems. If the school systems that we have around are not doing what we need to do, then we need to create new schools to be able to cater to that so that we can build a better Ghana for all of us. And that's it. That's why I'm going to end the video. Anyway, if you are wanting to do a one-to-one consultation with me, send me an email to dela@multidela.com. And that's it. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to also like, comment and share this video. Until next time, I am out.